Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special milestone of episode 40 of Boss Talks. And also, we have a great guest, Faith Barker. She's somebody I've been getting to know over the last few months. Her and I have a regular call because we got matched together through a mentorship group we joined, which has been fantastic. And if you know Tara Samuels, or don't know Tara Samuels, you should know Tara Samuels and get connected with her and the mentorship group that she started, because it's been a really great thing for me personally and others, hopefully, and hopefully for Faith, talking to me on a regular basis. But she's a great person, lives down in South Florida, works for a company based in Chicago called Pioneer Acquisitions. And then they have some different little projects that they're doing in the midst of their company. Yes, they have apartments, but they also kind of have a tech component when it comes to being able to lease apartments, almost like think giving somebody the opportunity to name a price on something like eBay almost. So it's almost like eBay, but she'll probably have a better description of it than me. eBay for apartment communities. But outside of that, we're going to talk about some great things, marketing to Gen Z, and just how you approach marketing, not just, doing things like Instagram and things like that, but things that go beyond that, experiential and things like that. So we'll have a great call, and I'm excited to bring her. But before I do, again, I'm Evan Happel with Community Boss. We have some great solutions for managing the physical aspects of your community, whether that's parking, amenities, or mapping, and then also generating some revenue through those spaces. So if you have any questions, let me know. But let's bring Faith to the show. Hey, Faith.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's a Monday, I kicked it off with a workout, feeling pretty good, but I think I saw you on that mentor call with
Yes, it
Debbie.
was.
What's Debbie's last name? Phillips.
Yes.
Which I've never heard Debbie speak, and she is great.
I hadn't heard her either, but when I went to advocate for NAA at the end of March, I was at a table with someone who was talking about Dr. Debbie and how great she was. And
Yeah.
so, you have to look her up. She's great. And then I think the next week, Tara put up that she was a speaker. So I was like, okay, I have to make sure I go to this.
Yeah.
I thought it was really great too. I enjoyed what she had to say.
Yeah. She has like great nugget upon nugget of information and like encouragement and things to actually directly apply to your life. So for all those that haven't heard Debbie talk, I would recommend it because, it's a name I saw, just like so many names, right? That people should know and listen to. And it's legit that you should listen to Debbie Phillips. Dr. Debbie Phillips, because she is really great. And Christy Fickert is backing that statement up. And if Christy says it, it's true. So
that's what I was about to say. If Christy says yes, it's legit. And I can drive.
So yeah, we got a few people jumping on. Will Puckett, former guest, Christy, thanks for jumping on. Kendra. Yes, and I think just about everybody, maybe not Christy, were on that call. So again, it was a great call. Check that out. But Faith, this call is about you. So we're gonna focus our attention on you from this point forward. One thing I want to point out is, I talked about like where you're working and you're doing marketing for Pioneer, but you're also individually working on yourself, and you've gone through many trainings, but also gotten a lot of recognitions and been chosen to be a part of certain groups when it comes to NAA that aren't necessarily easy, quote unquote, to get into. So, I mean, what are the diversity program, first of all? That was what, a year or two ago that you did that?
Yeah, so last year I was in NAA's diversity and leadership program. And then this year I am in NAA's marketing and communications forum, as well as their leadership lyceum.
Yeah. Yeah. And the lyceum. Now, if you could explain that one to me as to like, for those that also don't know,
Yeah.
I know a few people that have gotten into that program now, but I don't necessarily know what's involved in that. So would love to
Um,
hear a
so
little
I
bit about
also
that.
didn't know. That's actually feedback I've given to NAA is it would be really great for them to kind of further explain what it is. But they've done quite a bit of changing over the last 2 years to the model. So I think that's why they've kept it a bit vague. But
Oh,
really, it's
okay.
designed to get people who are interested in being more active in NAA and specifically, serving on committees or serving in leadership forums through NAA and getting them to understand the workflow and, how NAA is set up, why certain things are important, giving them additional leadership training. And we are also going to be doing a capstone project for that. So we'll be working with other leaders in the group to come up with ways to, benefit NAA. We've started talking about capstones, and a lot of those seems to be interested in like getting more membership, getting more people involved in NAA, and things like that. So a lot of really great insights in there. And I heard wonderful things from the Leadership Lyceum graduates that I talked with rather, before applying. So I'm excited to
Okay.
see how it all goes this year.
Nice. Yeah, Stephanie Anderson just announced that she herself is a graduate of that, and I know there's quite a few others, but yeah, I'm sure it's a great program. I'm just been curious as to what's involved in that, and I think it's what's interesting. There are people on there that are not necessarily property managers. There's
Yeah.
also vendors, right?
Yeah, so they've been doing a more conscious effort, I believe, over the last few years to make sure that vendor partners are included and not just, on-site teams, which I think is great because there's a huge asset and ability that our vendor partners bring that I think a lot of people aren't aware of. They just think, oh, they do this one service for me and that's it.
Yeah.
But a lot of times they're the people that have the great data. They have a lot of connections because they work with so many other companies. And so I'm glad that they're getting more recognition in the NAA field.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah, I'm a supplier, guys.
Yeah,
Hello.
and you're a wealth of knowledge. See?
Yeah. Yeah, I think what I like to push is like multifamily literally is multifamily, right? We have this multiverse, so to speak, of people that are supporting communities. So you have obviously the on-site teams and their supporting cast, but then you got all the suppliers that are also making things run. Like you wouldn't have everything you have without them too. So, they're all very important pieces to the whole thing. So, anyways, it's all good though. It's cool that they're recognizing that and bringing supplier voices into it into that as well. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we jump into any more like really serious talk, I do want to ask you my 3 questions.
Okay.
First, when it comes to building community, how is it that you do that, whether it's professionally or personally?
I think that for me, the biggest thing is making sure that everybody feels included. I like to be the person that people can go to no matter what. So even, for example, earlier this year, we were celebrating our property management team. And so I did sit down with everybody and that was on the management team and was just like, hey, I'm not your director. I don't know what your metrics are. I don't know how you're performing. I just want to talk to you about what do you want to do in your future? Do you want to be in multifamily forever? What do you like about working here? What do you not? And just kind of being a resource for them to be, I'm a director level person. I'm here to talk to you. I'm here to find out your likes and your dislikes and how we can help you and kind of be a support. That's something that I'm really passionate about. And I think that's, for me, the biggest way to build community.
Yeah, it is. Do you have any personal ways of building community? I mean, you grew up in Chicago area,
Yeah.
right?
So
And then you relocated?
So I was born and raised in Chicago. My husband works in college athletics. So you kind of got to go where the job goes on that. And so he got moved to Miami. So I moved down to Miami in 2019, and I've been here ever since. I think that was a big lesson in building community because
Right.
I didn't know anybody here. So for me, I found it in doing things I enjoy doing and being outgoing in that. So, I love like spin classes, like SoulCycle type, on a bike. So I was going to classes and I was meeting people, that I'd be riding next to, talking to the instructor. And then one of my instructors is actually now one of my really good friends. And he's introduced me to so many other people because as he's gotten to see me, he understands what my personality is like. And was like, oh, you'd get along with this person. And have you met that person? And I've kind of like grown a friendship, through exercise and, hanging out with my friends and doing something good for ourselves at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that's the easiest way when you move from somewhere else. I did something similar. I moved from where I grew up and knew people.
Yeah.
And then relocated. And it's like, it is a whole thing to do that and break into the relationships that are already formed from high school and college, because you're the outsider at that point, so it can be challenging. But yeah, through interests are definitely a great way to do that.
Yeah, and I think you have to either be outgoing or you have to find one outgoing person, because if you can find one person who will talk to anybody and you could just kind of like tag on for a minute and kind of feel people out, that can do a world of help too.
That's true. Everybody needs that person. I have that person, and he invites me to all his activities, and I'm like, fantastic.
I think on the last one we were talking about like upcoming, like Apartmentalize and AIM and some things like that. And a lot of people, it's their first time going this year. So take notes if you are also somebody new. Find somebody who's outgoing and just tag along with them and make sure to get all the experiences you can.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like to call, they're known as people of peace, the ones that are known by the community, right? So you find those people, like you're set.
Definitely.
Most definitely. Well, thanks for answering that question. All right, so if you had somebody over for dinner that you just met, building community at your spin class, what would you make for dinner for that person?
Okay, so I know that your trend is that everybody on here can't cook, but I can cook.
I don't know if it's can't cook. They just don't want to cook.
Everyone doesn't want to cook. I love cooking. So I probably would I would probably know something about them. Last night for dinner, we made goat cheese pizza with prosciutto and figs, and that was delicious. We can also do some like favorites, like, a good ham and like some scalloped potatoes or something. It depends on how you're feeling. I can make a really good salad, like not crappy, like
I like a good salad.
A good salad.
Yeah. With all the things.
Yes. I did it yesterday for lunch. I did a good Caesar salad with like shredded Parmesan and like a Parmesan crusted chicken on it. And it was.
I'm sure it was great. Yeah, I love salad, actually. I mean, there's a lot of times I'll get that at a restaurant. I'm like, what's your salad situation?
Yeah. It's a bad salad situation, just run.
Right. All right, cool. And then we are in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Coffee capital of the world.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So what's your coffee go-to? What's your favorite?
I like a medium roast, and I usually put some almond milk in it.
So you're just black coffee with a little bit of.
If it's good coffee,
yeah, I think exactly.
I think you could get away with just like a little bit of almond milk and you're good. Mm-hmm. I'm open to some sweetener options or something like that if we're just okay. But if you got a good cup, like I don't need too much.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, that's the key. You have to come to terms with paying more for the coffee.
Yeah.
But it's like you save in the long run not going to Starbucks or something and getting a cup of coffee for it. I mean, what is it now? It's basically $8. Yeah.
You know what? It's expensive, but I will say something I appreciate about Starbucks. My first job was Starbucks. Okay. And something that I appreciate about it is that it's very, very consistent. They take brand consistency very seriously. And I could have a cup of Starbucks in Miami, or I could have it in the smallest town in Oklahoma, and it's going to taste the same, aside from like the change in water. Yeah. Where like Dunkin' Donuts, I could go to the same one every single day for a week, and it will taste different every single time.
But at least you're getting a donut.
Actually, I
So
like their muffins there. They have very good muffins.
oh, okay.
They put a lot
We
of
don't
like
even
the
have,
distilled sugar on top, and I don't know, it just does something for
yeah.
me.
I'm pretty sure Dunkin' Donuts is banned from the state of Washington. I'm just
As it should be.
like, or they don't even try. I think that's probably more it, because we used to have them here, and I think they just didn't succeed. So see you later, I guess.
Yeah, for real.
So, but my kids, when we visited, we went to New Mexico, and there was a Dunkin' there.
Mhm.
They were obsessed with it because they're like, you can get how many donuts for that much money?
Well, if you're like okay with what you're getting for it. I think
Yeah.
I'm also like at the point in my life where I am not like scrimping for every single dollar. So like I would rather have like one donut that's really great versus 12 donuts for the same cost.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. We have some gourmet donut shops here nearby, and it was a problem when they first went in because we were there weekly. Not
Yeah.
a good idea. Because you're getting a dozen donuts and we only have 5 people. That means there's 2 donuts. I'm either eating both at the same time or multiple days in a row I'm eating donuts, and you shouldn't do that, especially when they're this big. So
Yeah. I feel like everywhere I've moved, I end up getting like really particular or really picky about something. Like growing up in Chicago, like I will not eat pizza anywhere else. Like I'll eat a pizza I make at home. I'll have like a select, like a flatbread or something, but like I know good pizza and I don't want pizza if I'm traveling to like the middle of nowhere.
yeah.
And so I feel like when I moved back to Chicago, like after college, that was when like Stan's Donuts and like these really like kind of trendy gourmet donuts started coming out. I'm
Uh-huh.
like, now I'm a donut snob. I'm like, I don't want your Krispy Kreme. I don't want your Dunkin' Donuts. Like, give me something bad. So give me something horrible for me, or I don't want it.
Exactly the horrible. Let's go
Yeah,
horrible.
clog my arteries, or I'm not interested.
Yeah, for sure. We do have an inquiry about the secret menu. You got anything on that?
Secret menu. That was before my time. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
All right.
I'm
Well,
sorry. No.
honestly, those are evil because those are just the things like, or at least the ones that are on TikTok where there's 15 ingredients and
Yeah.
they make the people that work there want to just like quit immediately.
Mhm.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah,
be
I really like
kind.
this book.
Let's be kind to our Starbucks employees,
And tip
people.
them.
And
Tip the
tip them.
people.
Yes. I used to not be a big fan of that, but then I realized, I mean, throw them a buck or two, especially during the holidays.
Yeah.
Like, I don't go very often, so yeah.
I don't either. Like I said, I'm kind of more of like I'd rather do something for quality than do something for consistency.
Yeah.
So I prefer to. If I'm only going to Starbucks or something once or twice, throw them a buck.
Right. Right. Christy, she offered that, and now you're going to get droves of people coming at you, Christy. So this is your fault, but find her, Faith, and Stephanie at Apartmentalize, and you guys are apparently going to be our unofficial official social committee, and get us connected to everybody. So I will be finding each and every one of you anyways, but yes.
I feel like we're gonna need to have some like flag that we carry around when we go somewhere, so like you can find me in the crowd. It's fine, I'll do it. Christy just voluntolding me for everything.
Apparently, bring it on. She's
okay
here for it.
I actually do that too.
Yeah. I mean, when you're at Apartmentalize, you already know you're going to be exhausted by the end of the week, so you might as well go big or go home, right? Am I wrong?
Last year was my first Apartmentalize, and it was in San Diego, which is the complete opposite end of the world as Miami, not the world, the country, as Miami. So I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this because I'm waking up naturally at like 6 a.m. their time. Like I'm going to want to go to bed at like 7 p.m.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I was like, I think it's just all the energy going on. You just somehow have like all this adrenaline going nonstop. I was like, I was, up staying late, going to everything, and then like go to bed for 5 hours, wake up, and I'm like, okay, ready to go. This is not my normal me. I am like an 8 hours of sleep type of girl. But
yeah, I think comfy flip-flops. Christy, comfy flip-flops? Boss bling on them. Okay.
I feel like Christy needs to come up with like a maybe a checklist for us. Christy, you come up with the checklist. I'll brand it. I'll make it look
I'm
nice.
pretty sure she already was talking about that. Christy, didn't you come up with a checklist? All right, put it in the chat.
Yeah.
Put it there. All right, add it there. All right. Yes, I guess we need to just get all the boss things for a boss survival kit for NAA.
Okay, one, I love that. But two, I think we should also have a boss meetup. Are we gonna
Yeah. No, it's in the works. I
Okay.
really am really trying to have like a happy hour
Mhm.
and bosses and their boss friends obviously can come to it.
Come to
So,
bossy hour. It's gonna be great.
a bossy hour. Okay, you just named it. This is perfect. I didn't even think of that. Love it.
Marketing.
Bossy hour. There it is. It's beautiful. Beautiful. All right. All my bosses that are watching, all the future bosses. See, just because you haven't been on Boss Talks doesn't mean you can't be on Boss Talks. So you just need to get with me. And here we go. And I don't even know what did Chrissy just say?
She
For
said
NAA,
maybe. I don't know. But yes, let's get a survival kit together and a meetup. Done. Stay less.
Exactly. There's so much going on in the chat. I just can't even keep up with it at this point. But thank you for everybody that's participating and commenting. It's beautiful. All right. We got through the questions. Now 20 minutes in. Now we're going to get to other things. Faith, we've already covered that you have done a lot. And honestly, in a short amount of time, you've only been in the multifamily industry for what, 6.5 years?
Yeah.
So you jumped in full on, like, let's do this. I'm gonna own this situation. And it's not even
like I'm either full in or full out. So
well, and frankly, like, okay, a couple of things that are interesting about your situation is like you don't even live in the market that you are working for.
Correct.
So Chicago, you're in South Florida. That's kind of interesting. But you're also working for a quote unquote smaller company, right? Like, and there's actually a number of people on the Lyceum and even being recognized for the Excellence Awards and things like that that aren't a part of your big companies like Graystar and things like that. So just to kind of give an encouragement to people that you can do big things, you can get recognition. It's really like, I guess, a large part, it's about you putting yourself out there.
Definitely. I think
so
being in a place that's supportive of it too. Like I could not have been able to do all of this if I didn't have supportive, directors above me that are, welcome and appreciate that I do these things too.
Yeah, no, that's really, I mean, that is important because I mean, for them to be okay with you going to the Lyceum, because that means you have to travel and go to different things. So
yeah, and I mean, most of these are Advocate is like 4 days long. Apartmentalize is like a whole week. So I mean, that's almost 2 weeks of work right there that I'm kind of in conference mode where I'm very passively getting stuff, to everybody as quick as I can, but I'm not as available as normal.
Yeah. I mean, it is a commitment for sure. But I think for the right company, or for any company, hopefully they see that it's a benefit to them in the long run, right?
Yeah, especially, yeah. And I think there's a difference between like, there's so much fun stuff to do at these, compartmentalize and stuff. But if you're only doing the fun stuff and you're not like going and trying to learn stuff and like gather things that you can bring back, I think that's where kind of the disconnect comes in. You have to be able to balance both. But I think, I mean, all of these conferences have really wonderful people speaking, and like I want to go and like sit in on everything, and then just like a little bit of fun at the end.
Right. Yeah, I think if you're only participating in the fun, then you're kind of like missing out on an opportunity to learn for yourself. I mean, but some people are just going to have fun, I guess. No, I think most people are also participating in the different things. They're just super tired. That's all. I can't say that I stayed up late. Last year was my first NAA. I did not party hard. That's for sure.
I wasn't even
Maybe,
partying. That's the thing. I was just like hanging out and meeting people, and we're like, let's go here, let's go there. And all of a sudden it's like midnight. And I'm like, I need to sleep.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I did go to one happy hour, which was fun, and we were like a sponsor of it.
Yeah.
But and then I went to another one that was early, so all my stuff was kind of early.
Okay.
I guess I'm old.
Just gravitating towards the stuff that ends by.
Oh man, yeah, it's okay, it's fine.
It's fine.
All right, so in your role with Pioneer, you're trying to obviously market to a specific group of people in more of a downtown core where your communities are, right? Like they're not.
So
Well,
they're
you
all
tell me.
Chicago proper, but my communities are not really in like the downtown area.
Oh, okay.
So about half of them are in the Hyde Park neighborhood, which is on the south side, and the other half is kind of spread out through kind of like working class neighborhoods on the north side.
Oh, okay. So you kind of have a diversity of people in each one, sort of, kind of.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So we're market housing, but our Hyde Park portfolio we had actually purchased from the University of Chicago directly. They had some properties that were hotels in the 1920s and 30s. And they turned them into apartments when the hotels went under. And then they just wanted to put money towards other things. They were selling these buildings, and we bought up 27 of the 30 buildings they had for sale.
Wow. So is that how it became a company? Like just.
So we had properties on the north side. We started in
Okay.
2008 when the whole housing market debacle had kind of gone down. Started purchasing buildings that were in good areas, but just needed some love, did full renovations on the inside, and then rented them out. So we thought, okay, this is a really great opportunity, everything in the same neighborhood, and let's try out this model in Hyde Park. And it's worked out well for us, but just kind of naturally with how close we are to the university, we get a lot of student traffic in that as well.
Okay. And so what have you learned, being that you have kind of a younger demographic you just naturally target to? What have you learned about like marketing to Gen Z and maybe a few levels above? But what is it that you've seen be effective?
I mean, everybody knows Gen Z is wild. Like they're so different than anything else we've seen. But I really enjoy them. And I think there's some kind of key things that I've picked up on that are really important for when talking about this audience. And I think the biggest takeaway for anybody in any industry, anything, is that they are like the Google generation. Like they've grown up with internet, they've grown up with texting, they've always had anything they wanted automatically at their fingertips. Like think about like when we were younger and like how we would study, you'd have flashcards or you'd have this, like this generation has grown up with an iPad in their hands and their flashcards are online and everything's online. So when we're talking about like their living experience and like what a personal piece that is, right? That's your home. You need to be able to be communicating with them or have it readily available for any time that they have questions. So like with our team, I'm always saying, we need to make sure that we're following up with them, even if the update is, I don't have an update. Because they're just so used to having every piece of information at their fingertips constantly that when it comes to something, especially so personal like homes, we have to be able to like get them, instantaneously.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot like Gen Z is also the first generation that doesn't think they're going to own a home. So like 67% think that they're going to be renting for their whole lives, which is huge. So,
which, you know what about that? I wonder if it's so much that they don't want to, as much as they don't think they'll be able to. Like when you think about being a first-time home buyer and the cost that associated with that and like the barriers to entry, like if I were trying to enter the market right now, I'd be like, as in the place I was when I bought my house.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, right.
And it's so invasive to buy a house too. Like they really dig into everything. And, I had purchased my first house last year. So even like when I was, sending everything in for the mortgage, they're asking questions like, I had to like send them like an expense report that I had and be like, this is where this, additional cost came from because I put something on my credit card for work and they reimbursed me. So, I mean, it is a lot. And if you're not like super serious, then I think Gen Z really likes the flexibility too of renting that I'm set here for a year or I'm set here for however long the lease is. And then I go somewhere else or I can do something else. I think is really appealing to them too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I own a house. Sorry. I'm working towards owning the house because the bank really owns the house, right?
Yeah.
But there's so much about renting, like especially an apartment, that is appealing.
Yeah. I think there's certain things that's like when something goes wrong, it's really nice to be able to have like that's somebody else's problem, kind of. The dishwasher's not working and maybe I need to get a new one. Like that's somebody else's. That's the property manager's problem. That's not mine.
Yeah.
Now my dishwasher stops working. Like that's my problem.
I mean, as I visit our customers, these new communities are ridiculous. Like the amenities they have and just how nice they are.
I think it makes sense too, though. Like our rent prices are going up, because cost of everything is going up. But that's something that a lot of people are concerned about too. But if I move into a property that has all of these things that I can invite my friends over and we can all use together, that could save us money.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, as long as you use it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Shameless plug. That's what my company helps with. Anyways, if you need help with that, community boss, we got you. So anywho, so yeah, I mean, Gen Z is interesting for sure. I have younger than Gen Z people in my home, like my children. So it'll be interesting.
I was hoping it was your kids.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how they end up being, right? Like how to sell quote unquote to that group. And it's just going to be even more so inundated with tech already. And and they're like the TikTok generation, like for sure, or whatever's going to be after that, because maybe it goes away. But yeah, it's just they all want to be on TikTok. They all want to be on whatever platform at a young age. Not that I let him. I'm not letting my kids on that platform. But anyways, but yeah, it's going to be interesting as we continue to just evolve quickly in our, especially AI. Now AI, like what are you using any of this stuff? Chatbot,
I like using it for inspiration.
Whatever.
Sorry, my dog is behind me and he's
it's all good.
He's readjusting.
Part of the background.
So I do not have a tail growing out of my back. I use it for inspiration. If I'm trying to work on something and I'm like, I was doing an email campaign, for example, and I'm like, I just cannot think of a subject line. I just pop it into like ChatGPT and it spits out a bunch of stuff. And then I end up like, okay, I kind of like that word. I haven't thought of using that word. And then here comes what I come up with. So I feel like I use it as like the rough draft.
Yeah. I'm hesitant. I mean, I don't think there's anything crazy about this particular technology.
Yeah.
But like, AI, parts of it are scary to me, but whatever.
There's so much that they're going to know. It'll be interesting to see how this all kind of unfolds. But for now, I will just take the happy-go-lucky approach. And
yeah, it's fine. It's fine. No big deal.
Keep it light.
It can make fake pictures of you and that kind of thing. Whatever.
That freaks me out. I haven't done any of those yet, but I'll just let it help me come up with subject lines for emails.
Yeah, I mean, it's all kind of fun, right? Like, just don't think about like what else it can do. Anyway,
keep it surface level.
Yeah,
nothing to see here.
Yeah. So you also talked about just building of a brand and then using experiences and really going beyond the logo and even Instagram feed to have that, like beyond what we've already talked about. Are there other things that you that come to mind when you state that?
Oh, totally. I mean, I think your brand is what people often think is like your logo, your colors, how your website looks, but that's all like kind of your external branding, and something that I
Right.
think we can all be more aware of is what our internal branding is, and does that kind of coincide together, right? So there's companies that say that they're they have the best product, they have the best service, they have the best this, but like, how are you serving your team? Like, does that excellent service that you give your residents also transpire in like how your team, are they served just as well?
Yeah.
Does your team been trained to exude the brand? Like, okay, your website looks awesome, but if I call and I ask for your name, are they going to be like, here, my name is Faith? Or are they going to be like, who needs to know? Because I've experienced some of that too.
Who wants to know?
You know what? Okay, so I do secret shops every year.
Yeah.
And I've been doing some down here because obviously it doesn't conflict with anybody in Chicago. And I've done a fair share of them in Chicago. So mix it up a bit. And sometimes, I went to like a high-end property and shopped them a couple of weeks ago. And I was shocked that they're like, walking me through the apartments, and they say, oh, why are you looking here? And I'm like, oh, like we're looking of moving to this area. And he starts like spouting out all of these other places for me to look that are not within that like property management's portfolio. And I was like, this is wild to me.
Huh.
But like, that's part of your brand. Like,
Yeah.
you say you're this high-end place, but then you're telling me all these other places. So then part of me was like, do you think I'm not good enough for this property? Do you think I should go somewhere else? But then also, like, I go to your dog park and there's like, it's not been cleaned and stuff like that. So like, does that fit the brand? Is that the brand? Do you want that to be the brand?
You should print that out. Is this your brand?
Yeah.
Smiley face of poop emoji?
I mean, it's a brand, but should it be a brand?
Yeah. I mean, young children like that, but I don't know if that's who you're going for.
Maybe wait for Gen Alpha on that.
Yeah.
They're still, like 10 years old, but
yeah.
give it another.
They have no money, but whatever. Yeah. No, that's interesting that they were like recommending communities that were quote unquote not as nice.
They were recommending communities they recommended like 2 that were within their portfolio.
Okay.
And then they were like, oh, but there's also like this building and this building and this building. And it was like ones that I know are not owned by the same company. Like they have totally different owners. And it was like just a little odd to me.
Huh.
Because like, I mean, for us, we have 25 buildings that are all within walking distance of each other. So it's really not abnormal that if we're on a tour and you see something, I find out something that you really like, I'd be like, you know what? I've got something down the block. Would you want to see that too while we're already out? Like, that makes sense. It's within my portfolio. But I would never be like, oh, hey, you should check out my competitor down the street. Respectfully.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll flip it a little bit.
Okay.
Sometimes when I've been in situations where it's like a salesperson, right? Like not necessarily selling me an apartment because I haven't done that in a while. But where they've pointed out like other companies, but they frame it in a way to put themselves in a better position.
Yeah.
So like say, yeah, there's these other apartments around here and they're all really great. So you're not speaking ill of them. And you're pointing them out because they're there, obviously. But then you're like, and they have this, this, and this, but then really highlighting why you're better, but not saying, but we're better.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a nuance and a good way that you could do it, like bring them up as options, but obviously putting yourself as the crown jewel.
Yeah, exactly. And this was more like, I felt like maybe he was trying to be helpful. And like, here's some other places that are nearby that are similar to us. I guess I just personally,
that's like it.
I would be like, hey, if this property specific is not great, we also have property B and property C that are right over there, and they could be a good fit for you.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like, oh, our competitors don't.
Yeah.
You might
To
like that.
completely push them to the other company,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Yeah. That's
It
a
was
little
wild
weird.
to me.
But sometimes I do find it helpful when a company's like, well, and if you're not giving them options, but
Mhm.
obviously you want them to ultimately rent with you.
Yeah.
So you don't want to like only bring up the other competing companies and
But
be
there's
like, all
also
right,
like
well,
no shame in the game to be like, yeah, there's some other options out here. Probably find them on like apartments.com or something. But
right.
I'm just here to
Do
talk
all
to
the
you about
work.
what I got.
Do all the work for them.
Yeah. I mean, unless I'm getting a commission off that too.
Right. It's true. It's a good point.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're losing money.
Yeah.
Just so you know. Yeah. No, that's very true. So and then about Instagram, like you brought that up just because you're thinking like we got to think beyond this stuff, right?
Yeah.
We got to think more of like how can we make an experience? And I think you're right. Like bringing your team into the fold and make sure they understand your brand so that they're representing it fully.
Yeah.
And I think there's always room for improvement in that.
Mhm.
I think so many companies, probably even my own company, like when you're in marketing, you come up with ideas and like we're really excited about our boss brand.
Mhm.
But like if we really think about it, does that translate all the way through our company where everybody knows what we're working on, right?
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, I'm doing a show and stuff. Not everybody's in on that. So they don't get to have these conversations
Yeah.
and be a part of all this. So we can kind of get into our bubbles and forget to translate the brand to everybody.
Yeah. And I mean, there's so much like from an on-site standpoint, a lot of talk about, wanting to keep your renewal rates high and how can we keep people and keep retention, from employees to, how do we keep employee retention? How do we keep resident retention? And I think a lot of that can just kind of be driven back to like the brand and like, okay, we have these nice things. We have this, beautifully curated social media. We have this great website, but like, okay, once they've seen that, once they love that, once they sign the lease, once they move in, like what are we doing at that point to still make them feel that same great way that they felt when they signed the lease or when they walked in our door?
Right. Yeah, not just sell them a picture that then ends once they move in.
Yeah. And like how do you keep that? If you
Right.
sold them into your community because you have these great amenities and you have transparent communication,
Hmm.
like when the amenity is down, are we communicating that transparently? Are we
Right.
communicating that at all? Are the amenities to par? I think
Hmm.
there's a lot of things in that can be picked apart, and I just call that job security because we'll never get it 100%. But
Hmm.
you got to have somebody who's auditing it too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a book I read, The New Gold Standard, and then also talking to one of my guests previously,
Mhm.
they talked about like hospitality and
Yeah,
having that be like a big part of their brand strategy, which I really think like if you can set yourself apart by like again, your brand being your people and like really like the way they talk and the way they give customer service, setting you apart, like that can be a huge, you know, I guess step or not step, something that can set you apart from other people for sure. And that
definitely.
really
I feel like
does give
people
you
in
the experience.
hospitality they do so well in multifamily. People who come
Yeah.
from a hotel background and things like that because they perform and they understand like what the client wants and our
Right.
resident wants.
Right. And every single person is demanding because they're like on vacation or whatever. And they're
Mhm.
like, they want the best experience.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I think there's a lot to learn from the hospitality side. I think we could glean for the apartment industry. I
I think
think
there's
it's
a lot of
starting to
things from
happen.
different industries that we can
Hmm.
glean. And I think the pandemic, I think, has done so much to like getting multifamily to start getting out of the continuous kind of cycle we were in for a while. With bringing in a lot of, virtual leasing and like video opportunities that maybe were there, but they weren't really being used as much, until we really didn't have a choice.
Mhm.
But I think that was also something like when I first started that I was able to make things different because I looked at other industries and said like, okay, this works for this, but if we tweak it, it could work for us too.
Mm.
And I think when we just kind of get stuck in the grind of like what has been working for my company, what is going here, we don't want to introduce these new ideas. We're just going to keep getting the same old until we ultimately like the idea is too old. It's not fresh anymore. It's not attracting the right audience.
Right. What are some of the things that you got inspiration from, if you can remember, or even to this day?
Yeah. I mean, I think honestly, I just love looking up stuff on like Instagram and on Pinterest. And like I love looking at different brands. Like when I went to college, my major was graphic design. So I'm always kind of like looking at different like visual elements from things. But I mean, for me, like when we did like a big rebrand and things, it was like I would kind of dive into the research and like, okay, what is here? What do people like? What do people not like? What's something that's missing in all of this that we could be the puzzle piece for? And then like, does that make sense for us to be the puzzle piece for it?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of places to kind of glean inspiration from if you come with the right angle of like, I'm not going to copy this word for word. I'm going to copy this like idea for idea.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, there's a lot of different things we can get connected to and learn from. On LinkedIn, I follow a lot of people that are not in multifamily,
Mm-hmm.
but they're in marketing, for instance. And I've learned so much, especially when, when I started doing this show and things like this.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of people doing this, so
No.
I need to kind of go outside the industry to kind of learn from others that maybe have been doing it a while, or whatever it is, and I guess take the approach that fits me, right? Like
Yeah.
you can't fake it. Well, you can fake it for a short time, but you can't fake it forever.
Yeah. There's like fake it till you make it, and then there's just faking it. And if
Right.
you're just faking it, like it will not take long for that to fall on you.
Totally. They'll come to realize that that's not you.
Yeah.
That is true. So one thing I do want to ask about, kind of as we wrap up, is just being a part of these different like diversity leadership program and the Lyceum. You've obviously met a lot of people
Yeah.
through that. Now, are those people that you continue to connect with and like continue to, I guess maybe you're not all mentors necessarily, but maybe you are, but you're learning from each other and maybe you're staying connected. Like, how
Yeah.
has that been since that?
I think I mean, there's no roadmap after this of like
Sure.
how to connect with them after. I mean, we have each other's emails. A lot of us have each other's phone numbers, and we have each other on LinkedIn. And I think the people that like I really got along with best and things like that, I definitely still talk to. And I try to rope them into things that do make sense. We had a little bit of a reunion at Advocate. I didn't know that anybody from the GLP 2022 class was going to be there, and there was four
Okay.
of us there. So we all kind of ended up running into each other, and we're able to like get a picture together and stuff like that, which was fun. But when I'm like working on other projects or kind of looking to get more ideas or more information on things, I definitely reach out to them. And I've had classmates of mine. One was kind of looking to get into a marketing role, and so she and I sat down and we talked about different questions she could ask, and what's the job description for this. And so to kind of help so that she could go into the interview as best prepared as possible. And that was it feels good to be able to help people out like that. It's something I really enjoy.
Yeah, for sure. That the call we were on earlier today with
Yeah.
Debbie, she just talked about net weaving versus
Mhm.
networking. And I've heard people talk about net weaving. I was just like, okay, networking.
Yeah.
But it kind of goes deeper and it's more like you're actually interconnected. So as you have these experiences of being on the Lyceum and things like that, you're obviously getting connected with people, and your weave of network will only grow. And I think it's great that you've been able to do so much in 6.5 years, and there's just so much to life left that you only can expand it even more, right? Like I constantly think about that and like, all right, I've been at my career, quote unquote, for, however many years, 16 years out of college, I guess now. But there's so much potentially more to go when it comes to my career, right?
Yeah.
Like if I end up working till I'm 65, 70, who knows? We're all going to be probably working till 80.
Unfortunately.
But yeah, there's just so much more to go and more to do and people to know and just I think the more we can work together, and that's why it's been great to get to know you and have calls with you and other people too. So I definitely would recommend, if you haven't gotten a mentor, that you jump in and get one, because I think it's kind of like, it's like a shortcut to improving yourself, so to speak. We'll call it selfishly, because I mean, it is about you, but usually mentors get something out of it too. So make sure you're doing that, and jump into these different groups that are popping up, because the one we're doing,
mentoring for other aspects too. Like I have a couple of mentors. Evan's one of my mentors. And we talk about marketing stuff, but I've got other mentors and we talk about other, aspects. People are you can be so well-rounded.
right?
There's different avenues of things that require mentorship and support.
Yeah.
So even if you feel like you have, you're in property management, you have a really good mentor for that. Would you want a mentor for something on the operations side? What's something else that you're kind of interested in that you don't have an ability to learn more about, and like how can you find a mentor for that?
Yeah, figure out who's a rock star in a specific area that you want to be better at, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, because not everybody's good at everything, right? So,
No, I mean, for me too, like I'm a director. I've been with my company for 6.5 years. I'm at kind of like the top level of the company, and I was kind of at a point where I'm like, okay, I'm the one who's giving direction on how everything goes for marketing. But like, what if I have a question? Like, I don't really have anybody to go to. I don't have anybody to like bounce an idea off of that's not like, in the same category, right? Like, sometimes I just want somebody to like help me out. And so that's why I was seeking out mentorship.
Right.
We bounce ideas off each other all the time now.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It's great. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. So
Me too.
People should definitely jump in and do it more, because it's only going to benefit you in your career in the long run.
Definitely.
But so I'll give you one last go of it when it comes to topics. We didn't really cover your current role, like, because you are wearing multiple hats, really. Like, you're doing marketing for apartments, but then you're also doing marketing for almost like a prop tech company, like a apartment listing service, so to speak. And then you're also kind of overseeing on-site folks. So how are we doing that?
The answer is careful. So I am the director of marketing for kind of the 3 child companies underneath our Pioneer Acquisitions umbrella. So one of them is our portfolio of properties. We mainly do marketing for the 25 in Hyde Park that I had talked about before. That portfolio is called Ivy Residences. So I've been working with them. And I started with the company kind of when we took that portfolio over. We have about 20 buildings kind of throughout the north side of Chicago. We have those third-party managed and operated, so we don't focus marketing efforts too much on those. So we did that, and kind of through us having that Hyde Park portfolio, we were seeing this trend of 2 different things happening. There were some buildings that the apartments were flying like hotcakes. We couldn't keep them vacant. They were renting like days after they go online. They were available in 3 months. So we kind of had this opportunity of like, could we go higher with rent here maybe? I don't know. Well, conversely, in other buildings, we'd have a vacant that would be sitting vacant for a couple of months. And it's like, okay, we've done our shopped our comps, we've, toured the comps. I know this price should be right for what you're getting, what's getting in the building. Like, why is this one not going? Is there something here that we're not seeing? So from that idea, they sprouted Brixbid, which is one of our prop tech that Evan was mentioning. And the idea behind that is it's a listing website, similar to any of the other ones you're familiar with, but it has the option of like a name your price feature that we call like making an offer. So if there's an apartment, that one that rents really fast and you would be open to putting, a higher offer on it, see if you could get that apartment that's available to you, or conversely, if you want that other apartment, maybe it's $1,000, but your budget's really like $975. You could put an offer and say, I rent it for $975 and see what happens. On the landlord back end, we have like thresholds in place. So you can list it at whatever price you want to, but we know that your base threshold is X. So if someone's put in an offer lower than that, we would obviously just not even show that to you and just say, hey, that's not an option. But it's something that we've kind of been working with for our portfolio specifically over the past couple years. And we've had some really good luck with it. So we are opening it up to the market. And we've kind of done that in the last year or so. Gotten a lot of great feedback and made a lot of tweaks from that. But it's been really exciting, kind of getting to taste a little bit of the vendor side as well as the onsite side.
Right.
And if anybody is in the Chicago area that would be interested in maybe trying it out, let me know. I can set you up with that. It's free. So.
Yeah. So you guys are only in that market with this particular tool right now?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
We are looking at expanding in the next month or so, but I can't talk too much about that yet.
Till it's actually happening.
Yeah, you know what? It's in process. Paperwork takes a while, and that's what we're waiting on. So
yeah.
It's coming.
Right. No, it's a cool concept.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a different idea than like what's out there. So I can definitely see the opportunities, and hopefully people catch on to like what it is so that they can take part in maybe getting a deal. Cause I mean, who doesn't want a deal?
Absolutely. And I think, a lot of people get nervous when you say something like, the eBay for apartments, because they're like, oh, okay, you're going to jack up the price really high.
Sure.
It's not really about that. It's about like getting what's fair for the market, because who knows better, like what an apartment is actually worth and like what the neighborhood is worth than like people who actually live there and people who want to live there. I
mean, it's pretty legit, right? Like no one's willing to spend X dollars on that apartment.
Yeah.
Okay. That's probably too high.
But there's certain things too that like, at the same time, this apartment's been sitting for a couple of months. Do I really want it to be sitting longer and I drop it down low? Or, there's a lot of different things that we could even be thinking about when it comes into that. So what happens if you just put it out on Brixbid and see what happens? Would somebody willing to take it for $20 lower and you just weren't showing up because the rent was $1,000 and their budget was up to $975 or something?
Man,
there's so many different factors that can kind of play into that.
Is that actually rent somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, like in Chicago, your studios are probably around $1,000. Yeah.
Really? Mm-hmm. Wow, that seems so cheap. I don't know that anything in Seattle is that cheap.
I don't even think studios exist in Miami unless you're in like a high-rise luxury and it's $3,000.
Yeah.
But I mean, and that's kind of what I like about, working in the Chicago market and working in neighborhoods we do. We're working with people that are kind of everyday people. We're working with people that, are just looking for a place to live that they can rely on.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. If you guys haven't checked out Brixbid, check that out. It's definitely a new take on listing service for apartments. And I think there's a lot of potential there. So if you're in Chicago, check it out.
Thanks
for sure. Yeah. All right. So Faith, thanks so much for jumping on with me. And truth be told, this call was supposed to be our mentor call. And I was like, well, I mean, I got to reschedule my call for Boss Talks anyways. Let's just do it. So here we are. And she qualifies fully as a boss. So it's it totally works out. I wasn't cutting corners. I wasn't just throwing somebody on the show. Faith completely qualifies. She is a
have
boss.
a placard on my desk that says I am the boss.
Boom.
So
it was like, it was written. It was written in the cards, so to speak.
I'm manifesting it. I've had this on my desk for like 5 years. Just manifest.
Yeah, exactly. You were manifesting this moment.
Yeah.
Well, if you too want to be on Boss Talks, you just have to reach out to me. Let's connect. I would love to have you on the show and learn about what makes you a boss, what you're passionate about, and what you have to share with other people, because we can all learn from one another, whether that's a mentorship in the hour you listen to Boss Talks, or having a more regular interaction with somebody once a month or twice a month, or whatever your rhythm is. So by all means, watch these, because there's great people with great things to say, and maybe you'll meet your next mentor through Boss Talks. So till next week, Wednesday, back to Wednesday, we will have Boss Talks number 41, and we'll have a great guest, great show. So check that out when I post it later this week. And until then, it's been a great episode. Thanks again, Faith. We'll check you next time.
Thank you.